29th, 2024. First thing on the agenda tonight is to approve the meeting minutes from our previous meeting. Has everybody been able to look over them? And if so, do I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve the minutes from the August 8th meeting.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same way. Motion carries. Number one on the agenda tonight is Paul Saffert. If you want to come up and give your name for the record, please, and we will get started.
Paul Saffert. I represent Bolton Mink and the Annandale Maple Lake Wastewater Commission.
Okay. Barry, when you're ready.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this matter was continued at the last hearing, so the applicant can meet with the township. There was no discussion and no public hearing, as the applicant had submitted a requested continuation form, so I'll kind of give a brief intro, and then I'm gonna let the engineer take over, because there's explanations here beyond my capabilities. The property is 35 acres in Albion Township, Zone General Agriculture. It was granted a wastewater treatment plant in 2004 through a conditional use permit with some associated conditions. This request is an expansion of that facility to include a building for increased wastewater treatment, at least as it's been explained to us. That's primarily to improve the water quality as it exits the facility into the North Fork of the Crow River. We did get a response from Albion Township. That response and their additional comments are located in your packet.
Okay.
That's what I have.
Is there
We
anything?
do have, primarily included in the staff report, the site drawing, which includes where the structure would be located, and their proposed stormwater treatment, which would be in conjunction with this building, and then floor plan, or elevation drawings of the structure itself.
Okay. Thank you, Barry. Is there anything you'd like to add to that, or anything?
That was a pretty good summary of what we're asking to do. So,
Okay. Is there anybody here that has any questions before I go to the public? If not, I'll open it up to the public. Is there anyone in the public that would like to comment? Anyone in the public? If not, then we'll bring it back up here. Does anyone here have questions, concerns? Dan?
So I have one question on the contours of the treatment pond that you're gonna put in. I had a hard time reading it on our diagram, and I was wondering what the top measurement is on the contours, where you're gonna have the berm around the edge.
The very top, I got it here.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, is 1011 on the, so it kind of comes up, and which side are you looking at?
I was looking at it'd be the west side of it.
Okay. 1010, 1011 is kind of the top of the berm.
Okay,
Let me, should have included different set. So 1010, 1011 in through here. And then it'll drop from there and then drops down at the bottom. Bottoms out at about 1,002, so you're looking at about,
10 feet.
yeah, 8, 9, 10 feet of actual depth of water in that area. Possible depth of water.
And it looks like the area where that's gonna go is pretty flat. There's not much contour in that area to begin with.
there's an existing hill that we're grading back into, that's all coming back. So there is a hill running off that way, and we're kind of just extending a spot out as a wide spot.
Okay, I was just looking at the property to the west, wanted to make sure there wasn't gonna be any impact of water runoff on that property.
This whole site drains east to west,
Yep,
and we're looking to capture all stormwater into our pond from the existing site to actually improve, hopefully improve the rate, slowing down the rate that it's going to leave the site.
Okay. And is there an overflow in that?
There is.
And where are the overflows at?
They head to the west.
To the
Yeah.
west?
And so that would basically restore the existing or the current flow pattern of the drainage that runs through the site.
Yeah, so there's existing drainage right
Yep.
through here right now.
Yep.
And that's pretty much where it's going.
Yeah, it enters that wetland there and then moves around to the west and then to the south.
Yeah, because it looked like the farmstead was about 1,020 to 1,040 above that, so, okay. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, concerns? I guess one of my questions for you would be, is this addition, is it supposed to improve the quality of discharge that you'll be discharging? How does that, is that all contained inside the building?
So yes, so this is actually a further processing of the water. It's basically a drinking water filter that is at the end of the process. So the current discharge is going to be pumped up to a filter, large filters, and then the water will pass through that, taking solids and phosphorus out of the water before it's discharged to the North Fork of the Crow.
Okay. And it'll be big enough for how much for the future?
So the hydraulic, the plan is, we have to plan for at least 2045 for this building. So that's the current design, is the population projections provided by the three communities and then accounting for that flow.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns? How does the board want to proceed?
Mr. Chair, I'm prepared to make a motion.
Okay,
I suggest this board move that we approve the following CUP with the following conditions. All building permits and required inspections must be issued and conducted. Number 2, stormwater management plan in accord with the submitted plan be in place prior to final building inspection. Number 3, all other conditions of the original CUP remain in full force and effect.
all right. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any other discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the lead into that should be it's to expand an existing wastewater treatment plan according to the plans and description on file and according to discussion at this hearing with the conditions as referenced by Commissioner Felger.
I accept that, Mr. Chair.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? If there's no other discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same way. Motion carries.
you.
Thank you. Number 2 tonight on the agenda is Zachary Arns. You want to come up and give your name, please, and we'll get started.
My name is Zachary Arns. I'm proposing a unplatted parcel division.
Okay, we'll let Barry start us off, and we'll come back to you. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this property was rezoned AR in July of this year. This is now the subdivision portion of the request, which is a 2-lot subdivision in accord with the minimum requirements of AR. So each parcel is at least 10 acres in size with at least 300 feet on the public road. This is the layout they're proposing. We have got soil boring information on parcel B, which is the vacant parcel, not required on the house site, which is parcel A. It's pretty much the next part and the final part of this, so The one thing is we did not receive a response from Chatham Township, and looking through their approval of the rezoning minutes, they had no issues with the rezoning request, and at those meetings, they see the site plan, so although we don't have necessarily exact and specific approval for this portion of it, it's up to the commission how you want to proceed with it.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything you would like to add?
I'm just curious, how, did they not get back to you guys on it?
Did you go to them on this portion of it?
Yes.
Or did you,
On, what was it? It was 2 Thursdays ago.
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, they didn't. They didn't get us any information on it.
Well, I guess I did go to that meeting and they did approve it forward.
Did they have any conditions or anything they
They
wanted to
didn't
place on?
have any, didn't really have much to say about it, other than it was pretty
That's,
straightforward split, so.
and that's kind of what I took from the original request for the rezoning is, we have no issues with this. So that's kind of how I took it, and that's how the staff report is written. I'm pretty open to the commission proceeding as you see fit.
okay. Anything else you'd like to add?
I don't believe so.
Okay, I'll open it up to the public. Is there anyone in the public that would like to comment on this matter? If not, we'll bring it back up here. How does the board here want to go? Any questions? Any thoughts?
I have a question for the applicant.
Go ahead, Dan.
Did the township, when you met with them, did they have any preference to where the driveway was gonna be placed for Lot B?
So we did talk about the access. So I live at 1405 Crowfoot,
Okay,
just on the west-hand side of that parcel. And just before, if you're looking at the west or the top west side, just before it starts to make that bump, there is an access there currently. So that's essentially where the township approved there being like a driveway or something in the future, but access to the property.
Off of 9.
okay.
Any other,
That's my only question.
any other concerns, questions?
I'll pull that up real quick, Mr. Chairman, if you'd
Okay.
like.
Yeah, please do.
Is he talking off of Crowfoot Avenue?
Yes, off of Crowfoot.
Thank you.
So that'd be like right off of there?
Can you zoom in a little bit?
Yes, I will. Turn these contours off too.
So you can see where the trees start on just next to Crowfoot there,
Is it here or?
on the north side, right there. There is an access.
Okay. Right there.
Right here, it looks like.
If you look closely, you can actually see the gate right where his
Right,
cursor
yeah,
is.
Right there. There's the
Yep.
gate.
Where all the pickups are parked and looking at it. Okay. Any other
That's it.
concerns, questions? How would the board like to proceed?
I'm prepared to make a motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Dan?
Approve a conditional use permit for a 2-lot unplatted subdivision in accord with a survey completed by Auto Associates dated 7/18/2024, project number 24-0342, with the following conditions. Number 1, if required by Chatham Township, access permits must be obtained prior to any construction activity commencing. Number 2, per feedlot regulations, cattle and swine are prohibited. All livestock must be at least 300 feet from the lake. Properties will be allowed 1/2 animal unit per acre and are limited to less than 10 animal units regardless of parcel size.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made, and seconded. Is there any other discussion? Is there any other discussion? If there's no other discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same way. Motion carries. Thank you. Number 3 on the agenda tonight is Richard Davis. You want to come up, give your name for the record, and we'll get started.
Hi, Richard Davis, Monticello.
All right? Barry, when you are ready.
Yeah, a little bit of redundancy here, Mr. Chairman. This is a 37.5 acre property in Monticello Township. It was rezoned in June. This is the 3-lot subdivision request that was in accord with the concept plan submitted for the rezoning. The applicant has done a wetland delineation. The survey reflects where those wetlands are. We did get approval from Monticello Township. It's in your packet.
Okay. And just to clarify, Barry, this is the one we did a site inspection on also,
Yes.
correct?
Yes, it is.
So just want to put that out there that we did look at it. Okay, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, just hoping to get the final approval tonight so we can move forward.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to comment? If there's nobody from the public, we'll bring it back up here. And does anybody on the board have any questions, concerns?
I'm prepared to make a motion.
Sandy?
I move that we approve a conditional use permit for a 3-lot unplatted subdivision in accord with the survey completed by Bogart, Pedersen and Associates Incorporated, signed and dated 8/8/2024, file number 24-0084, with the following conditions. 1, if required by Monticello Township, access permits must be obtained prior to any construction activity commencing. 2, per the feedlot regulations, cattle and swine are prohibited. All livestock must be at least 300 feet from the lake. Properties will be allowed half animal unit per acre and are limited to less than 10 animal units regardless of the parcel size.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Motion made and seconded. Do we have any other discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Harry,
Sorry.
it's okay.
In the habit of copying, pasting, I would like to revise condition number 2 that just says, per feedlot regulations, properties will be allowed half an animal unit per acre and are limited to less than 10 animal units regardless of parcel size. So basically strike out,
The cattle and swine.
yeah, and the lake, because this is not Lake Shore.
I know when I was reading that, I was like, I know where that is.
Copy and pasting, and sometimes I forget to change some of the stuff. I change other stuff and I forgot to get down to that condition, so make that change.
Are you good
I
with
should
that,
have
Sandy?
stopped and asked. Yeah, I was good with it. So when I was reading it, I was going, there's no lake by this. There's a river.
And I didn't even realize until you started reading it.
Yeah.
Are you good with it, Ken?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion? If there's no other discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same way. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, number 4 on the agenda tonight is Voranda Soto LLC. Want to come up, give your name for the record, please?
But they were gonna come speak for me, that'd been nice.
You're not gonna get that lucky.
My name is Paul Schreier, President of Veranda Soto.
All right. When you are ready, Barry.
Well, Mr. Chairman, similar to the last two, this property is 91.48 acres. There was a amended rezoning to it that just took place. My dates here, I'm not following very well, in June. This is the subdivision request. If the commission remembers, on this one, Lot A and B will be B2 lots. The parcel C will be AR. Township has approved this request, so I don't have a whole lot more to add.
Okay. Anything you have to add to it?
No, less is more for me, I'm sure, so.
Okay, I'll open it up to the public. Is there anyone in the public that would like to comment? Chris, if you want to just have a seat there for a minute?
Chris Klein with Silver Creek Township Planning and Zoning. When the board reviewed this, we really kind of asked question on whether or not there could be some type of road access off County Road 8. and then going up to 148th Street that would parallel with that Lot C, or Lot B, I'm sorry, and tie in there. In order to facilitate the process and keep it moving, we agreed that they would have a ghost or some type of access drawn in there or allocated off 148th and down on County Road 8. It just seems like for future planning, the board felt that it would really be a good idea to somehow plan for that now, than to wait for those lots to get filled up. And then something happens to 148th Street intersection there where it's closed off, and then it becomes a bigger expense for everybody to try and get access into those properties. That's the only thing that the board really spent a little bit of time discussing with the applicant.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Barry, can you show us where he just said he wants that to come in, or they'd like to see that come in?
I don't know. I wasn't at their meeting, and it didn't make it into any of the recommendations from the township, nor did it make it into the plan. So what I'm guessing is someplace in here. There are, a number of ways that could potentially be adjusted, or actually from County Road 8. So was that coming in here, Chris?
That's where I'm confused. I don't see where parcel B touches 8 at all.
So if you go to the north on 148th, yeah, someplace in there, and it would go straight south. And I'm not sure what would happen down there in that parcel A, somehow connect to parcel C down there and then go out to the county road. There is an existing driveway in the south west corner off County Road 8 now that could serve parcel C and potentially wrap around up to parcel A somehow. And I think there was some type of wording in the township's recommendation for those accesses.
All I got was
Exercise.
motion approved to accept the presented concept plan. That's what we got from the township on August 26th.
Okay,
That's all I have.
thank you.
Townships tend to be very minimalistic sometimes.
Well, it seems to make sense to think about that challenge now than later.
Is there anyone else from the public that would like to comment? If not, if the applicant would like to get back up. And Sandy, do you have?
No, I just think that it's a valid point that that's looked at now than down the road. I think there's some validity there. But is that our job or not?
Well, there again, it's one of those, well, if something happens here or if something happens there, it's hard to plan for that type of scenario. Ultimately, if something happened to 148th Street, something's gonna have to be done. It's hard to plan for that now because, especially in a situation like this where you're talking about extremely large lots. In B2, the minimum lot size is an acre. And so at some point, a new road might come in. The same thing applies to parcel C. They're over 20 acres in size, so they have the ability to potentially do a PUD, which could mean more lots and road access. No matter how you do that, if you were to come in off of that access on parcel C, that probably isn't going to be really popular because those are going to be residential lots in there, and they're not going to want the B2 type of traffic coming in through a residential area. So something else would have to be done where it does not include coming through a residential property to get to it. It's either that or they ultimately come in and decide to change the zoning of parcel C to B2. It's all commercial in the plan. It was done a long time ago. This board didn't create that AR district. From a planning perspective, if you ask me, that was a mistake back when it was rezoned AR, but I didn't make the decision. We just have to live with what it is. My thought would be at some point, if a house is never put on that large parcel C, or it's never developed as a PUD, those are discussions at that time. Do we want to make this a PUD right next to a fairly large, business district? I mean, that's a very valid discussion to have at that time. As of right now, with what they're proposing, it's really hard to say we want to manage for some road in the future because something might occur without anything really firm on a time frame, reasoning, or anything else. If the access at the junction of 148th Street and County Road 8 were ever to be closed, there definitely is a conversation that has to be had about how access is now gained to these properties. And there's other existing properties there that are gonna feel the same thing.
Would there be easements then that would allow them to fix that challenge?
No. It would have to be some type of public road that services them and provides the proper road frontage to get there.
You could be looking at a scenario though where the corner parcel, and oh my gosh, they're so bad, parcel A, right? That would be presumably a development that could cause an issue with access to 148. Well, at that point, that whole discussion is open, how do you accommodate, how does a new user for parcel A accommodate parcel B? Again, not to be frustrated, I do get frustrated sometimes, but we kind of started this discussion with, where do we want the road to come in off of 8? And yeah, you don't want it up against the residential, and it's a lot of road. What we basically have, without talking out of school, is a user that wants to make use of some freeway exposure. I can say they're not that intense. I don't know. I mean, but that will be part of their proposal and presentation. All we're trying to do is define an area that we can sell them. And frankly, if their use wasn't approved, we wouldn't go through with the split, right? Because we're just asking for issues. But again, we think this works. Like I said, the corner is going to be pretty key. The corner to us is much more valuable. Could end up with an intense use. Again, selfishly, I hope that, but that's not what we're facing at this point. And we frankly just want to try to get some dominoes to fall here, get some activity here that spurs other activity.
Yeah, we don't often see, business-owned properties of these sizes. And so there again, I mean, a plausible scenario is parcel A at some point isn't parcel A. It's 5, 6, 7 lots with some type of access road coming in from some place. And that's another place where that discussion gets probably more relevant for the most part. The highway department has comments on all stages of this. With this particular scenario, they did not provide any further public comment. They made their comment on the rezoning indicating no access to parcel A off of County Road 8.
Okay, thank you, Barry. Do we have any other questions or concerns for the applicant?
Mr.
Dan?
Chair, 148th Street is a township road, correct? That's township. And going back to the last meeting we had on this parcel, that intersection by County Road 8 is quite a congested intersection right now, correct?
Define congested. I live there too. I mean,
I don't know what is congested.
it's not that bad. Go to Clearwater.
Oh,
If you compare it to Clearwater,
yep.
it's a ghost town.
It's tight, right? Not congested.
It's not maybe as wide, the roads aren't as wide, like in a more of a higher traffic area. It's more county road, more of a rural intersection.
I
That
think the biggest concern is that the distance between where 148th Street is and then the
on-ramp of
the
the freeway.
on-ramp for East 94.
Yeah, 148th and the on-ramp onto the freeway. I couldn't give you footage, but it's close. There's a sign at the end of 148th saying that, you know, this isn't an entrance to the freeway, you know, but it's very easy for some people to mistake that because it is close
Yep. Well,
area.
the thing about it is that as a township, when it comes to the business properties, I know for a fact that if they have to make improvements to that road, they can assess the properties for those improvements that they have to make. You know, it's a process. We've gone through it before, and it's a process, but I think that what's gonna happen with parcel A, if that gets split up again into different businesses, that's down the road maybe.
Yeah, it really is.
And as that happens, it might change the whole outlook on this.
Yeah, I mean, I can stand here and say I can't envision parcel A getting developed without some access onto 8. But right now, I'm hearing no, no, no.
And if you look at to the west there, that's the Hasty Truck Stop. The distance between the Hasty Truck Stop and an on and off ramp is virtually the same as what it is going to the east. And everybody is able to get into the Hasty Truck Stop in and out of it. I mean, truck traffic at night that usually is full with sleepers, you know, so I mean, there's traffic there. There's people coming off. I mean, everybody gets into that in that distance. So, you know, and again, like you referred to, it's a township road going to the east, and the township can charge or, you know, assess back improvements if that's what's needed on that road.
Yep. And it looks like the Hasty Truck Stop has 2 accesses on 148th right now,
Yes.
and one on County Road 8, but the county doesn't want another access.
One
And I'm
gets
not,
3.
but that's one part would be a question for me, for the county highway department as to, and I'm sure it'll come up further down the road as it develops, why not? There's
Yep.
good visibility both ways, that road is flat there.
Right.
You can see both ways, I don't understand it, but I'm not on the highway department, so I won't get into that discussion now.
So if somebody went to purchase one of these lots, then would they come back, or who would make that decision then for an access coming off of 8 and also off of 148?
That would have to be the developer at the time, who wants to develop the property.
And who makes that decision? Ultimately, it's the highway department
Yeah, yes,
or the township, depending upon which road they want to come off of.
Okay, it's not us.
It's not us.
That'll be it, if we approve, it's currently proposed to be the first condition is whatever access permit you need, go get your access permit.
Yeah. I just don't want the sins of our fathers, because I've seen it, you know, different projects in the years that I've lived. Like I-94, where they knew the soil was bad and just went through, and now we're paying for it 40 years later. You know, I don't want that type of a.
guess, any other concerns?
Well, I
looking
guess in regards to, Mr. Chair, in regards to Chris was asking for maybe a, you know, like a ghost plot type deal where I'm personally, I'm not in favor of those kinds of things, but usually because it has to do with cities. And they want ghost plots to make sure they can protect all their area that they're never gonna develop. So, but it's really hard to speculate what's gonna happen with that type of thing right now. Because when you do a ghost plot, the developer doesn't have to follow that. You know, it's just a suggestion. So, I just wanted to address that part of it. Okay,
And, you know, in order to avoid complications too, knowing that that could be a possibility at some point in the future, maybe you deal with that at the development stage for anything that would potentially, any site plan or proposed use on parcel A or B, we could address it at the time of that use, when it's before us. So my rudimentary brain would say, okay, if the thought is along that west line of parcel B, you potentially might want to put some type of right-of-way in there. Well, then you, when they go to develop B, you would require a little bit of an increased setback to ensure that you're gonna meet the proper setback if a road ever went in on the eastern 66 feet of A.
Sure, or for that matter, you'd make sure they didn't put their septic there.
Their
Site
building or their
design.
septic.
Right,
So if you were to run a road up here to give public road frontage to this lot, if 148th were to be shut down or anything else, or you want to get from here up to here, if you ran a road here, you could have parcel A encompass the entire 66 feet width of the public road, which means you have 33 feet to this line. You just require whatever is developed here to be at least 32 feet east of this west line. So then you don't run into a nonconformity setback type of situation if a road ever had to go in that specific location, which would be the farthest, likely be the farthest east that road would ever go. So the setback requirement for a structure is 20 feet, well, you make it 32 instead. That way you build in a little bit of your fudge factor, a little pre-planning if that were to happen in the future. It's just up for us to read the minutes and be sure we remember it.
so Mr. Chair, is that something that
Yes,
we
Dan.
could do now? This
I
time,
would,
or in the
I would not,
development phase?
I would wait until the site plan phase. They might do it all in and of themselves with their site plan. And then we have some built in there, and then any new building they would put in, they'd have to come back so we could build it in that stretch. I wouldn't necessarily do it at this phase.
So administratively or before this board?
Everything would be before this board.
This board, okay.
I can't administratively require them to build farther than the ordinance requires without the planning commission telling me to do that.
Okay,
Without that, if they came in to build 20 feet, I got no choice but to let them build it right at 20 feet.
okay.
Just because I think it's a good idea doesn't mean I can make it happen.
All right, how does the board want to proceed? Any other questions, concerns? Are we ready for a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'll prepare to make a motion. To
And
approve a conditional use permit for a 3-lot unplatted subdivision in accord with the survey completed by S&N Land Surveying dated 7/11/2024, job number 5300-009, with the following conditions. Number 1, if required by Silver Creek Township or Wright County Highway Department, access permits must be obtained prior to any construction activity commencing. Number 2, for the AR zone southern lot, per the feedlot regulations, the lot will be allowed 1/2 animal unit per acre and are limited to less than 10 animal units regardless of parcel size. 3, all uses on the northern 2 business zone lots, proper interim or conditional use permits must be obtained prior to any construction or business activity taking place on the lots.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion?
Just one comment that if this comes back to us when they're developing this, we will have all the minutes in front of us so we can, if we forget what we said tonight, we can read them over again.
Good plan. All right, is there any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same way. Motion carries.
thank you.
Yep, thank you. All right, I don't see anything else on the agenda. Is there anything else we need to go through tonight, Barry?
I don't think so.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. We are done. Thank you.